stop scrolling. If you are 60 or older, or if you know someone who is, what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes could directly impact how much money arrives in your bank account this month. Starting today, the Social Security Administration has officially introduced one of the biggest policy updates in years, and millions of American seniors have absolutely no clue it's happening. We're talking about modifications that could boost your monthly benefit or quietly decrease what you've been relying on, depending on whether you understand what to do right now. And here's what truly concerns me. Most people won't discover until it's too late to do anything about it. Now, I've spent a long time translating government policy into plain, simple English. No confusing jargon, no runaround, just direct answers that you and your family can actually use. In this video, I'm going to guide you through exactly what changed today, who it impacts, what you need to verify on your account immediately, and the simple steps you can take to safeguard every dollar you've worked your whole life to earn. You deserve to understand the truth. You deserve direct answers, and you deserve to keep every single cent you're owed. If you believe seniors deserve clear, honest information, hit that like button right now, and let's get started. Now, before we dive in, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for being here. Seriously, because the fact that you showed up today, that you took time out of your day to get informed, that already places you ahead of millions of Americans who are going to wake up this month completely blindsided by what is happening right now inside the Social Security Administration. And I don't say that to alarm you. I say that because I want you to appreciate just how important the next few minutes truly are. So let's talk about what is really happening. The Social Security Administration, the SSA, has officially implemented a new set of rule changes that took effect starting today. Now, when most people hear the words rule change, they tune out. They think it's some dry government paperwork that doesn't really affect their day-to-day life. But I'm here to tell you with complete confidence that this is not one of those moments. These changes are not just administrative tweaks. They are not just bureaucratic rearranging. These are concrete real-world policy updates that are going to directly affect your monthly check, your spousal benefits, your work history calculations, and in some cases, your Medicare coordination as well. And every single one of those things matters to you personally. Let me begin from the very start, because I think the best way to understand what changed is to first understand how the Social Security system determines your benefit in the first place. A lot of people, even those who have been receiving benefits for years, don't fully understand how their monthly payment is actually calculated. And honestly, that's not your fault. The government doesn't exactly provide you a clear, plain English explanation when you sign up. So let me break it down for you right now in a way that actually makes sense. When you work throughout your life and pay into Social Security through your payroll taxes, the SSA is keeping a record of every single year you worked and how much you earned. At the end of your working life, they take your highest 35 years of earnings, adjust those earnings for inflation, and use a specific formula to calculate what's called your primary insurance amount, your PIA. That PIA becomes the foundation of your monthly Social Security check. Everything else, your age when you claim, whether you're married, whether you worked after claiming, all of that either adds to or subtracts from that foundational number. Now, here is where today's changes start to become incredibly important. One of the key updates that the SSA has put into place involves how certain earnings are indexed and calculated in that 35-year record. For years, there have been advocates, legislators, and retired workers arguing that the way the SSA handled certain types of employment, particularly for people who worked in jobs that didn't withhold Social Security taxes, like certain state and local government positions, was deeply unfair. And starting today, a major correction to that inequity has officially gone into effect. You may have heard of something called the Windfall Elimination Provision, or the WF. And you may also have heard of the Government Pension Offset, known as the GO. These two rules have been the source of enormous frustration and financial difficulty for millions of American retirees, particularly retired teachers, firefighters, police officers, and other public servants. For decades, these rules reduced, and in some cases, nearly eliminated the Social Security benefits of people who also received a government pension from a job that didn't pay into Social Security. Imagine working your entire life paying into Social Security through other jobs and then having your check slashed simply because you also had a public pension. It felt like a punishment for serving your community. And for many retirees, it was financially devastating. As of today, that era is coming to a close. The repeal of the WEP and GO provisions, which was signed into law and is now being implemented by the SSA, means that millions of affected retirees and their spouses are going to see their monthly Social Security benefits increase and, in some cases, significantly increase. We are talking about people who have been receiving reduced benefits for years, sometimes decades, who are now going to start receiving a larger monthly payment. And for surviving spouses who had their spousal or survivor benefits wiped out entirely by the GO, this change is nothing short of life-changing. Now, I want to make sure we're really clear about who this impacts because I've been getting a lot of questions about this. If you worked in a public sector job, a teacher, a police officer, a firefighter, a state employee, a municipal worker, and your employer did not withhold Social Security taxes from your paycheck, and you also earned Social Security credits through other employment, then the WEP very likely affected your benefit calculation. And if you are the spouse or widow or widower of someone in that situation, the GO may have dramatically reduced or eliminated the spousal or survivor benefits you were entitled to. Both of those situations are now being addressed. The SSA is actively working through its systems to identify affected beneficiaries and make the appropriate adjustments. But here's the critical thing I need you to understand. This is not going to happen automatically for everyone without any action on your part. For some people, the adjustments will process through automatically once the SSA updates its records. But for others, particularly those who haven't yet filed, or those whose employment records may be incomplete or unclear, you may need to contact the SSA directly, provide documentation of your government employment, and make sure your case is being reviewed. I will talk about exactly how to do that in just a few minutes. So please stay with me. Let's talk about something else that changed today because the WF and GO repeal is not the only major update taking effect. The SSA has also introduced changes to how it handles what's called substantial gainful activity, or SGAA. Now, SGAA is the threshold that determines whether someone on Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, is considered to be working too much to qualify for benefits. This threshold is adjusted periodically to reflect changes in the national average wage, and the 2026 adjustment has moved that number upward. What that means in practical terms is that if you are receiving SSDI and you have been doing some part-time or limited work, the new higher threshold gives you a bit more breathing room before your disability benefits are affected. This is an important and welcome change for the many Americans who rely on disability benefits but want to maintain some level of work and independence. There is also an update to the retirement earnings test, which is the rule that affects people who are under their full retirement age and are still working while collecting Social Security. For years, this rule has caused confusion and frustration. If you claim Social Security before reaching your full retirement age and you continue working and earning above a certain limit, the SSA temporarily withholds a portion of your benefits. The important word there is temporarily. The money isn't gone forever. It gets added back into your benefit calculation once you reach full retirement age, but in the meantime, it can feel like a financial squeeze. The 2026 update has raised the exempt earnings thresholds, meaning you can earn a bit more from work before any temporary withholding kicks in. This is particularly meaningful for the growing number of seniors who are choosing to work part-time in retirement, whether out of financial necessity or simply because they enjoy staying active and engaged. And speaking of retirement ages and timing, this is something I want to spend a few minutes on because it is one of the most consequential decisions any retiree can make. And the 2026 rules bring some nuances that are worth understanding clearly. As most of you know, you can begin claiming Social Security retirement benefits as early as age 62. But if you claim early, your monthly benefit is permanently reduced. Reduced for every month you claim before your full retirement age, which for most people currently falls somewhere between 66 and 67, depending on your birth year. On the other end of the spectrum, if you delay claiming past your full retirement age, your benefit grows by a certain percentage for each year of delay up until age 70. After 70, there is no additional growth, so there is never a reason to wait past 70 to claim. The decision of when to claim is deeply personal and depends on factors like your health, your financial situation, whether you have a spouse, and what other income sources you have available. But what the 2026 updates do is add a layer of complexity that you need to be aware of. For anyone navigating the WEP or GO repeal, the timing of when you claim or when you refiled or made adjustments to your claim can affect how the retroactive corrections are calculated. And for those who haven't yet claimed but are approaching retirement, understanding how these new rules interact with your personal benefit calculation is more important than ever. I also want to address something that has been spreading on social media and in email chains because I think it's important to separate fact from fiction. There have been a number of posts and messages going around suggesting that the 2026 SSA changes include a dramatic across-the-board increase in monthly checks for all retirees, or that there is some kind of special enrollment window that seniors need to act on immediately, or they'll miss out forever. I want to be straightforward with you. Some of what's circulating online is exaggerated, and some of it is just completely false. The real changes are meaningful and significant for millions of people, but they are specific and targeted, not universal. The best thing you can do is get your information from reliable sources. The official SSA website, your local Social Security office, or a trusted financial advisor, and be very cautious of anything that promises a quick and easy windfall just for clicking a link. Now let's talk about Medicare, because for many seniors, Social Security and Medicare are deeply intertwined. Your Medicare Part B premium is automatically deducted from your Social Security check each month. And every year, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the CMS, adjusts those premiums. In 2026, there have been changes to Medicare premium structures that you need to factor into your overall picture of what your net Social Security payment will look like. Even if your gross benefit goes up as a result of the WEP or GO repeal, your net check, the amount that actually reaches your bank account, will reflect whatever your Part B premium is. So understanding both sides of that equation is important. If you haven't reviewed your Medicare enrollment and premium status recently, now is an excellent time to do so. I also want to speak to the spouses and surviving spouses watching this video, because you are a group of people who have historically been among the most affected by complex SSA rules, and the 2026 changes have very direct implications for you. If your spouse passed away and they had a Social Security record, you may be entitled to survivor benefits based on their work history, rather than your own. And those survivor benefits can sometimes be significantly higher than your own retirement benefit. The GO repeal in particular has enormous implications for widows and widowers who were previously having their survivor benefits dramatically reduced or eliminated because they also had a government pension. Starting today, those reductions are being reversed. If you are in this situation, or if you think you might be, please do not wait for the SSA to come to you. Reach out proactively. Make sure they have your current contact information. Ask them to review your case in light of the new rules. You may be entitled to back payments for the period when your benefits were improperly reduced, and you don't want to leave that money on the table. Let me tell you about the process of actually navigating this, because I know for some of you, the idea of dealing with the Social Security Administration can feel overwhelming. The phone lines are long, the website can be confusing, and if you've ever tried to sort out a complicated benefit question, you know that it can sometimes feel like you're going in circles. So let me give you some practical guidance that can make this process a little bit smoother. The first thing you should do, starting today if you haven't already, is create or log into your My Social Security account online. You can do this at ssa.gov, and it is completely free. Your online account gives you access to your full earnings history, your estimated benefit amounts, the status of any pending applications or appeals, and information about any deductions being taken from your check. If you haven't set up an online account yet, I strongly encourage you to do it. It takes about 15 minutes and it puts you in the driver's seat when it comes to monitoring your benefits. Once you're logged in, look carefully at your earnings record. If you see any years where earnings appear to be missing or incorrect, that needs to be corrected, especially now because those records feed directly into your benefit calculation. If you believe you are affected by the WEP or GO repeal, and you have not yet received any communication from the SSA about a benefit adjustment, the next step is to call the SSA directly. The national number is 1-800-772-1213, and they do have staff who can help with questions about WEP and GO cases specifically. When you call, have your Social Security number ready, as well as any documentation of your government employment. Things like pension award letters, employment records, or notices from your government pension agency. The more documentation you can provide, the faster and smoother the process will be. You can also visit your local Social Security office in person. And for complex cases involving WE or GO, an in-person visit is often the most effective approach. You can find your nearest office by going to SSA.gov and using the Office Locator tool. If you have a trusted family member or friend who can accompany you, that can be helpful, both for moral support and for making sure nothing important gets lost in translation during the conversation. Now, I want to address something that is really important for those of you who may be in a position to help an elderly parent or a spouse who is less comfortable with technology or with navigating these systems. The SSA does allow authorized representatives, family members, attorneys, and advocates to act on behalf of a beneficiary. If your parent or spouse is struggling to manage their own SSA matters, you can become an authorized representative and handle correspondence, appointments, and inquiries on their behalf. This is a valuable option, and if you're in that situation, I'd encourage you to look into it. Let's talk about what happens if your benefit amount changes and you disagree with the new calculation. This is something that may come up as the SSA processes adjustments related to the WEP and GO repeal. The government systems are not perfect, and errors can and do happen. If you receive a notice from the SSA showing a new benefit amount, and it doesn't look right to you, maybe it seems too low or the back payment amount seems off, you have the right to appeal. You have 60 days from the date of the notice to file an appeal, and I cannot stress enough how important it is to take that deadline seriously. Missing the appeal window can be very difficult to overcome. If you're not sure how to file an appeal or whether you have grounds for one, this is a situation where consulting a Social Security attorney or advocate can be genuinely valuable. Many of them work on a contingency basis for disability and benefit appeal cases, meaning they don't charge you upfront. I also want to take a moment and talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough, and that is the emotional weight of all of this. For a lot of seniors, particularly those who spent decades working in public service, who felt shortchanged by rules like the WEP and GO, who watched their benefits get reduced despite years of hard work and contribution. These changes represent more than just a financial adjustment. They represent a form of recognition, an acknowledgement that the old rules weren't fair. And for some of you, especially those who lost a spouse and saw your survivor benefits slashed through no fault of your own, the word relief might not even fully capture what you're feeling right now. I want you to know that your frustration over the years was valid, your advocacy was justified, and the fact that this day has arrived is something worth acknowledging. At the same time, I want to be real with you about the timeline. The SSA is a massive federal agency processing benefits for tens of millions of Americans. Implementing a change of this magnitude, reviewing millions of individual records, recalculating benefits, issuing retroactive payments, is going to take time. The agency has said it is prioritizing the most affected cases, but if you are expecting to see a change in your next check, you may be disappointed. For many people, these adjustments will take several months to fully work through the system. That doesn't mean you should sit back and wait. It means you should be proactive, stay informed, follow up regularly, and make sure your records are accurate and up to date. One more thing I want to discuss, and this is particularly important for anyone who is approaching retirement age and hasn't yet claimed Social Security. The landscape looks different today than it did even 1 year ago. If you were previously considering delaying your claim, specifically because you were uncertain about how the WE or GO might affect your benefit, that calculation may now be different. If you're a government employee or retiree who is going to receive a reduced benefit because of those provisions, your recalculated benefit under the new rules might change the math on when it makes most sense for you to claim. This is an excellent time to sit down either on your own, using the tools at ssa.gov or with a financial planner who specializes in retirement income, and revisit your claiming strategy with fresh eyes. And if you have a spouse, please make sure you are looking at this as a household decision, not just an individual one. Spousal benefits, survivor benefits, and the coordination of two Social Security records can be enormously complex, and the decisions you make individually have consequences for your spouse's security down the road. In particular, if one spouse had significantly higher lifetime earnings than the other, the decision of when the higher earner claims can have a lasting impact on the survivor benefit available to the lower earner after a death. These are conversations worth having carefully and worth having. Now, before I wrap up, I want to circle back to something I said at the very top of this video because I think it bears repeating. The single most powerful thing you can do today, more than anything else I've covered, is to be proactive. Don't wait for a letter. Don't wait for the phone to ring. Don't assume the SSA has your information correct and is automatically taking care of you. Log into your account. Check your earnings record. Call if you have questions. Visit your local office if you need to. Ask for help from a family member or a trusted advisor if navigating this feels too complicated on your own, because the system does make mistakes. And the people who catch those mistakes are almost always the ones who are actively paying attention. You have worked hard for these benefits. You have earned them through years of labor, through payroll deductions, through decades of contribution to this country. The rules are changing today in ways that are on balance genuinely positive for millions of American retirees and their families. But rules don't protect you automatically. Knowledge protects you. And that's exactly why you watched this video today. I'll be continuing to cover all of the updates as they roll out, because this story is not over. The SSA will be releasing more guidance in the coming weeks as it processes these changes, and there will be new information, new timelines, and potentially new actions required on your part. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of those updates. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with someone you care about, a parent, a sibling, a neighbor, a friend, anyone who is at or near retirement age and deserves to have this information, because the more people who understand, the more families get protected. And that is exactly what this channel is here for. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay proactive, and take good care of yourself, because you have absolutely earned